What's up, everybody, and welcome in. This is FST, Fantasy Sports Today. My name's Matt Striker, joined as always by the one and only Joe Pisapia. Yep, the author of the Fantasy Black Book. This is the show if you want to dominate. Whether it be season-long fantasy, DFS, straight-up wagering, whatever it is, we've got you covered. We're talking baseball. We're talking football. Just a quick reminder, it's the world in which we live. At SportsGrid, at SportsGrid TV. Those are our social media handles. Just give a double check. Make sure that you are following along. We're going to be talking a lot of stuff. Joe, always good to see you. How's your week been?
It's been fantastic. Yesterday in New York City, the first of the very important expert leagues drafted. I was there drafting myself. We'll recap that roster for everybody next week to help you in your Superflex leagues because nobody cares about my team. We only care about your teams. That's what we care about. But if my teams can help your teams, that's what we're here to do over at SportsGrid. And by the way, can we just take a moment of pause? Talk about how incredible the new graphics look, the new opening for the show. It feels very intense. It's like a Jason Bourne movie. I love it. I'm very excited. Matt, have you been training? Do you have your kind of mixed martial arts background ready to ramp up today? Because it feels like you might need it at some point, maybe segment 3.
Absolutely. I've got my scruff. I've got my earpiece in. I'm ready. I'm thick-necked. My collar is pulled up high. I'm ready to talk baseball trade deadline fallout in addition to football on the back end. So I have a large detail today.
Yes, the detail is huge. Hopefully, there won't be any snipers here or anything, the duck or anything. I don't know. We could kind of get into it maybe at one point, you and I. That would be a fun fight. There you go. Matt Striker, Joey P, Fantasy Football Championship on the line. That sounds like a PLE or a pay-per-view to me. That's what it sounds like. But you're right. Sounds like something. Trade deadline came and went. And it's interesting, Matt, because with the way the trade deadline is structured now, Major League Baseball, no more of those waiver trades in August going around. Everybody really had to kind of make their move. And we said the team that went early to market would do well, and that was Seattle. They did get early to market. They got a Rosarena. We were right about that. Some of the other trades have been a little, I would say, less than thrilling. You did have Jack Flaherty move. We're going to recap the teams that are winners and losers from the trade deadline, but it does seem a little bit like underwhelming to me, I would say, because you do have some of those bigger names that we were anticipating getting moved. Didn't. No Skubal, no Robert, no Garrett Crochet. We were guaranteed a Crochet. I had all my crocheting needles ready to go on the show today. We didn't get it. So It was very upsetting there. But good news, San Diego Padres, they got a bunch of bullpen help. And they are pushing. Going into Friday's action, they won 9 of their last 10 games. The Padres, I think those bullpen moves that they made were really cagey, Matt. We'll talk more about them probably later. But the fact that, they have some age in that rotation, right? They hope to get Joe Musgrove back soon, Yu Darvish eventually in August. And if you look at Michael King's innings totals too, they're starting to catch up to him a little bit. Shortening the games is a good idea for this rotation. And that's what they did by adding quality bullpen arms. So it looks like the Padres refused to kind of get out. And you got to give the front office credit for continuing to push forward. Also pushing forward, front offices, Jackson Holliday is back, and Colby Mayo, too, another guy we've been talking about for weeks and weeks. Add Colby Mayo. This guy has real power, 20-plus home runs over in the minor leagues so far this year at AAA at Norfolk. But Jackson Holliday came back, looked like a much better version, went 2 for 4 yesterday, hit a grand slam the other day. What have you seen so far in Jackson Holliday since he's getting his second chance that looks different from the first version that we saw in April, Matt?
Well, from a fantasy perspective, most managers would realize that he was unavailable, right? You went, you looked, he wasn't there. Your next step immediately should have been Mayo. And honestly, if you were following the right accounts and watching shows like this, you're already on stuff like this. With regards to what Holiday has done to change, it's all about experience. And there are times with young players, I could sit here and tell you, shortening up the swing, he's laying off the changeup. And it comes down to experience, just going out there and hitting. Tony Gwynn has a great story about how he took a young player who was slumping and said, all I want you to do is go 0 for 4 today. And the young player looked at him like, what do you mean 0 for 4? But I want you to line out to short, fly out to left, ground out to second, be able to control ball off bat. Holiday is beginning to develop those skills, which I guess would be the long answer to your question, Joe.
No, but it's the right answer. He is that spark plug kind of guy. Now, Jordan Westberg did get hurt, so that kind of opened up a door a little bit here. But Colby Mayo, Jackson Holiday, this is the future. The Orioles decided that they're going to hang on to the future. Now, whether that's right or wrong, we can have that bigger discussion. I think they still needed another big-time starting pitcher. I think it was a big mistake. This is the year where you had a healthy Corbin Burns all year. Why not capitalize on that? Give him a friend. Give him somebody to hang out with. Kyle Bradish wasn't going to be that guy. We knew he was going to get hurt again, and he did. So a little underwhelming there. Maybe they can piece it together with the rotation they have. We'll talk more about that again as the show goes on in the first hour.
Yes.
And then, of course, the other thing we have to talk about is Mike Trout. Mike Trout had a setback.
Do we have
Yeah, we do. We had a setback. It turns out that setback that we talked about last weekend was another tear in the meniscus in the knee. Now, look, man, I know you're no stranger to injuries yourself. I mean, the professional wrestling world was one of constant injuries, constantly working through injuries. But Mike Trout just hasn't been able to work through the injuries. And we had, back early in the season, a huge conversation about, hey, is this the time to trade Mike Trout? You remember when he had that like crazy weekend where he hit all those home runs and people were like, oh my God, Mike Trout is back. And we talked about, do you sell him now? Is this the point in time? And I was very much on the yes, you sell him now, depending if you can get a deal that is really solid, because the upside is so much better than what maybe the downside of Mike Trout is. And we had a discount this year on Mike Trout. This is another incomplete season. When you start to look now at the projected value next year of Mike Trout, is he even a top 100 player? I know this sounds crazy. He's still in his early 30s.
No, that's a fair question.
Do you think he's a top 100 guy, or do you think he goes outside the top 100 picks?
I take you into my mind here. I'm beginning to start to look at the overall body of work now. All these incomplete seasons, mathematically, they are going to add up in the aggregate. I'm going to look at the numbers. Everyone was so enamored with the first 10 seasons, I'd say, 8 seasons. Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame. They scream and yell. You're going to look at the entire body of work now, and you're going to start to wonder. With regards to that, he's outside of the 100, because I think that we can have a conversation. If we were kids hanging out on a Friday night, I could tell you 99 other players that I would want, and I could justify in some type of logic in my silly head other than Mike Trout. So yeah, he's outside the top 100. It's just the way the game goes, Joe.
Would you take Wyatt Langford over Mike Trout?
I could argue, again, I could argue upside if I'm in the right frame of mind. I could argue lineup. I could argue all these things. That would be one of those where you and I would have to go back and forth. But sure, I could see someone choosing Langford over Trout at this point. Would you?
Yeah, I think I would. I mean, certainly the Brian Reynolds of the world, I think, have passed him.
Sure.
And I think that's something you have to understand. You're kind of...
We could do the whole show doing this. You know that, right? At least the whole first hour.
Could, but think of it this way. You're kind of out of luck when it comes to Mike Trout in dynasty leagues right now, because you can't sell him off. Like, who's going to take him from you in those dynasty keeper leagues, right? You're going to get pennies on the dollar. So you're just kind of stuck, and you have to hope that you get a decent season out of him, or at the very least a decent run next year. And more to the point, the Angels organization doesn't have a lot around him. It doesn't look like nothing's turning around soon. And this goes back to this a year ago. Me on my soapbox, which is good because I'm a little on the shorter side, so I need to stand on the soapbox sometimes so the camera can see me. But on the soapbox, Matt, talking about can, the Angels just trade Shohei Ohtani, remake this organization in one giant move, and they didn't. They put their head in the sand, and they decided to go for it when they really had no chance in winning any playoff games or any World Series. They had no business being near the playoffs last year with the roster they had. And instead, Ohtani gets hurt. Ohtani goes away. He becomes a Dodger. Imagine if they had made that deal, and now they're sitting here. At least maybe next year there's some hope for the Angels. It doesn't feel like any. No. Here's another question. You're a guy who loves the history of baseball. Looking at the career of Mike Trout, probably a little bit closer to more like the career of Larry Walker statistically when you're starting to look at it. Another guy who missed a lot of time. What could have been? I think he's a little bit more Larry Walker than he is Mickey Mantle at this point. Right?
Whoa, the two, somewhere in between those two names, and that's been the problem with Mike Trout. Joe.
Yeah, well, that was the guy, right? He's the next Mickey Mantle.
Yes.
No, not so much. When we come back, we're going to continue to break down the trade deadline. Who are the winners and losers? What does it mean for your fantasy teams and for your wagering? We'll tell you on FS2.
Recently, I feel like I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not making bad swings. I don't feel like I'm making terrible decisions, and just had got a little bit of a streak of bad luck on par fives. Didn't birdie any of them at the Open, didn't birdie any of them today. It's just, and I didn't feel like I did anything terribly wrong, right? But that's just golf. It happens. What's done is done, and this week is the most important week of the year right now.
If he lands it pin high, he's going to be off over the pin position and leave himself a tough putt there. That should bite now. He didn't like it by the looks of it, but he'll love it when he sees it.
Just get this before that bunker. Put himself in a good position.
Just a tiny little baby fade, ideally placed.
To tie the lead at 16. Oh, he's playing well, isn't he, John Rahm?
And OMG, what a championship Sunday we just witnessed.
Win, right? Selfishly, you always want to get that done, but you don't want to see a teammate and a good friend, missing a putt for that happening for me.
The Live Golf League delivers every single event, doesn't it? I mean, what an incredible finish there. You know what, Tyrrell Hatton, I feel for him. He's been playing beautiful golf. In fact, since Miami, he's been the best player in our league based on the strokes gained metric.
I'm really happy that I had my first Live Golf win. Now that Kelly and the kids are watching, just knowing that I'm bringing the trophy home for them, it feels good to say that it's coming home.
All right, welcome back in. This is FST Fantasy Sports Today. Matt Striker and Joe Pisapia giving you everything you need in order to dominate. Remember, information is power. And in this age of information, I mean, ignorance is a choice, Joe. You have to agree. And when we want to get information, we want the right information, we need to come to the right place. I don't want to get into a word salad here. So once I start talking with my hands and defining what information is, I'm going to start to sound like certain people. All right, let's just do trade deadline winners. Let's talk about the teams we feel won the trade deadline and why. And let's start with the Baltimore Orioles. And I'll start here. I'll step onto your soapbox with you, if you don't mind. Slide over. I think that the Orioles will represent the American League in the World Series. Joe and I often talk about how it comes down to 3 pitchers. You need 3 pitchers in order to get there, and I think the Baltimore Orioles have done that. They started to do it before the deadline, and I think they completed it. I also believe that adding a bat here and there is going to help. We're going to start to see a lot of these names come up a bit more as the weather turns, and I like the addition of Eloy Jimenez because a lot of people don't realize a new environment can mean a lot of things, but when you go from one type of atmosphere to at least a similar type weather-wise, think about what Chicago would be like in October. Think about what Baltimore is going to be like in October. Eloy Jimenez will not be shocked like a goldfish thrown into a different pond. So I'll get off my soapbox. I think those are the reasons the Orioles were winners. Joe, I hope I left some meat on the bone for you. I'm sure I did.
You did. I'm actually Italian, so I can't speak without moving my hands. It's very difficult for me, like physically. If you tied my hands together, we probably couldn't do the show. It'd be terrible. But I will say that I do agree with you to a certain extent. The Eloy Jimenez was kind of surprising. It feels like maybe they were going for Robert and the price was too big. So I said, let's take the cheaper Eloy Jimenez. What's interesting about him, too, is that he has a player option for next year, too, actually in the year after for $16.5 million, which is not a lot of money. Remember, they signed him to a very long-term extension years ago when he was just a boy. And unfortunately, seasons haven't gone very well for him. And now there's kind of value on that when you're looking retroactively at what they've done. So interesting move there by the Orioles. Unexpected, I think. Does he help in the offense? Yeah, I think he gives you another bat in the middle of that order. If he can stay healthy, if he can get hot. In terms of hamstring, I think it's something you're always going to worry about when it comes to him. It's the pitching moves that kind of worry me just a little bit. I like the fact that they added depth. I like that they added Eflin. I like that they added Rogers. Adding lefties to the rotation always is interesting too. Rogers is a curious reclamation project because he's not that old. A couple of years ago, he did flash some signs of being this guy could be really interesting. And we've seen this before where some of those pitchers who are, the 6'7", 6'10", those big starters, heck, we even saw it in Randy Johnson in his youth. They struggle mechanically. at the major league level to maintain those mechanics. And if they can get in his ear and fix things, maybe not this year, but maybe in the offseason, who knows? Maybe there's actually some upside there. Like I said, I think these were good moves. I don't know if they were great moves. I think in some ways I would have liked to have seen them go all in, but I understand they don't want to give up the prospects. I get it. But at the same time, if you don't have the kind of pitching to go through a short series that's dominant, Grayson Rodriguez is great. Corbin Burns, obviously an ace. But after that, I think it is kind of questionable. Who is that third guy in that rotation that you fear? I don't think you do. And it's not Zach Eflin, and it's not Trevor Rogers. So that's my only qualm with what the Orioles did. It was good. Was it good enough? I guess time will tell.
All right, we can further that conversation where we run down the teams that we think will make the postseason and then match the big three pitchers up the whole way through. But let's switch over to the National League here and talk about the Los Angeles Dodgers. Joe, you've often said the Dodgers are built for 162 and not 7. The addition of Jack Flaherty and a few other bats for depth, are they now built for 7?
They might be better now, built for 7. Jack Flaherty, great start yesterday. Again, it was against the A's, so you better be good. They also added some good infield, outfield depth to guys like Tommy Edman, guys like Ahmed Rosario. When you have versatility, that helps, and I think that's something the Dodgers have been lacking a little bit at times this year. We always said there's kind of like a stars and scrubs lineup a little bit. No offense to some of the guys playing, but it did feel like a very top-heavy order and a top-heavy team. And they got exposed a little bit, I think, when it came to the depth of this roster. Now, with the additions they've made, they've given themselves versatility and a little bit more help if another injury should strike at some point in the next 2 months. We still got a lot of baseball left to play. So the Dodgers did very well. Flaherty was a really good move for them. I really like what they did. Bring the kid back home to where he's from. He's very excited. I saw the little picture of him as a lad in his little Dodger onesie or whatever it was. Obviously, this is kind of like one of those dream come true kind of things, right? For his family and for Jack Flaherty. So good on him. Flaherty, Glasnow, yes. Do you get Yamamoto back healthy? That's a question. Kershaw has not looked good. Walker Buehler, huge question mark. Bobby Miller, who knows? So yeah, I think this Dodger rotation still has more questions than answers, but Flaherty certainly goes a long way. Now what you're playing is the game of, I just need one more of those guys to get right. Whoever it is, it doesn't matter, just one more, because Flaherty and Glasnow is good enough as that 1-2 punch, theoretically, going into the playoffs.
All right, with the final 2 minutes in this segment, we'll talk about the New York Yankees and then the St. Louis Cardinals. The Yankees right now proving to be winners with what Jazz Chisholm is doing and median dividends, whereas the St. Louis Cardinals, I don't know if it was enough and the finish line may be too far out of reach, but I'm rooting. Joe, Yankees first, then Cards.
Jazz Chisholm, red hot. I mean, I think he's been kind of that energy they needed. My concern is the OBP and the kind of player he is. So even though like he's hitting power right now, he's doing everything you want, I think he's bringing a good energy, a little bit of effervescence. And it's because he's getting out of Miami, a team that was going nowhere, and he's going to the Yankees, a team that, I mean, they're the Yankees. What young kid wouldn't want to play for the Yankees, right? And I think that is a big energy boost for a team that was really just imploding on itself. So that's been positive. But again, let's not forget, he is who he is in terms of player. The on base is going to struggle at times. So now that he's red hot, that's great. Let's hope it stays that way. And we'll see. Now, the Cardinals, another team too. Eric Fetty did not pitch well yesterday. Let's hope that changes. If not, it's going to be tricky. But I do believe Eric Fetty was a good addition. Let's give him more than just the one start. Maybe he got a little nervous. Maybe he just had one of those starts where he wasn't good. But he had pitched very well for the White Sox this year. And he's going to have to pitch well too. Lance Lynn went on the IL this week. It's another spot in that rotation that's empty. So Fetty has the opportunity to help this Cardinal team. Will they catch the Brewers? That's the big question. It's getting tight there in the Central and the National League, and there's still plenty of time left. And I got to say, without Yelich, I'm just not sold if the Brewers can hold on. We'll see. We'll talk more about that as time goes on. But those are some of the winners from the trade deadline. Certainly the Yankees look like a winner too. But who were the losers? We'll tell you when we return. Maybe the teams that didn't quite get it right at the deadline.
Recently, I feel like I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not making bad swings. I don't feel like I'm making terrible decisions, and just had got a little bit of a streak of bad luck on par fives. Didn't birdie any of them at the Open, didn't birdie any of them today. It's just, and I didn't feel like I did anything terribly wrong, right? But that's just golf. It happens. What's done is done, and this week is the most important week of the year right now.
If he lands it pin high, he's going to be off over the pin position and leave himself a tough putt there. That should bite now. He didn't like it by the looks of it, but he'll love it when he sees it.
Just get this before that bunker. Put himself in a good position.
Just a tiny little baby fade, ideally placed.
To tie the lead at 16. Oh, he's playing well, isn't he, John Rahm?
And OMG, what a championship Sunday we just witnessed.
Win, right? Selfishly, you always want to get that done, but you don't want to see a teammate and a good friend, missing a putt for that happening for me.
The Live Golf League delivers every single event, doesn't it? I mean, what an incredible finish there. You know what, Tyrrell Hatton, I feel for him. He's been playing beautiful golf. In fact, since Miami, he's been the best player in our league based on the strokes gained metric.
I'm really happy that I had my first Live Golf win. Now that Kelly and the kids are watching, just knowing that I'm bringing the trophy home for them, it feels good to say that it's coming home.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports. Today, our great new music composed by Jeff Lynn's ELO. Make sure you go check out Jeff Lynn at Madison Square Garden on September 17th. I, for one, will be there, so come and say hi. It's good stuff, man. And look, with Steven Tyler and Aerosmith abruptly announcing their retirement, I think it's important to go out and see the artists, the athletes, the performers, the people that you admire. See them do what it is that they do that you love, because you never know when it'll be taken away. And I think that goes also for sports. It goes also for drafting, right? A lot of people have a lot of fantasy football drafts coming up. We'll be talking about that in a little bit. But overall, the importance of appreciating what we have. All right. With that said, we're still talking trade deadline, MLB fallout. Now we're talking about the losers, and at least we deem the teams that perhaps could have done more. We start with the Chicago White Sox. Now, I, for one, know many White Sox fans, and I think for the future, you should be excited. You went to sleep the night before having nothing, and then you went to sleep the night after the trade deadline. You had a great farm system. I mean, granted, Thorpe just went on the IL, so there's not much to go out to the ballpark to see other than Crochet, which is I get. But beyond that, Joe, you say the Sox are a loser. Why?
Well, because they didn't cash in on the chips that they have, and they're not going to be good next year or maybe the year after that. Yeah, they might have some things in the pipeline, but they needed to make a move here with Robert and really kind of push the chips into the middle. Same thing with Garrett Crochet. This was a lock. For months, we've been told this was going to happen. And then apparently it leaked out. It wasn't supposed to leak out, but it did, that his agent and Garrett Crochet wanted an extension in that deal. And then some teams got a little gun shy about, well, what is he going to look like in September and possibly October if we're a playoff team? And what did not help also was the Garrett Crochet performance in the month of July with that ERA around 4. That's not the Garrett Crochet we've seen. Now, you can make excuses, all-star break, guys get off their routine, all that kind of stuff. Or maybe it is that classic thing where he's finally hitting that innings limit where he has never gone past that threshold before, and it's starting to wear on him. And I think a lot of teams maybe got gun shy too, saying, do we really want to make an investment of premium prospects for a guy that might not be the same pitcher in September or maybe even available in September, and give him an extension on top of that? So it was a very complicated situation, unfortunately. Instead of letting teams figure it out, Garrett Crochet and his agent were trying to dictate those terms, and they ended up screwing Crochet, the White Sox, and probably teams like the Orioles or other contenders. So pretty much the White Sox made a lot of people losers here, but I think they have to take the biggest L because they did not make the moves that were out there in front of them. Maybe they should have been, again, earlier to market. Maybe this should have been a thing in the month of June. They should have been trying to move him. Maybe the deals were there. Maybe they weren't. But at the end of the day, I don't think the White Sox were able to have a successful trade deadline to what it could have been to remake and rebuild this organization, because they are still a ways away. They are not 1 year away or 2 years away. It's going to be a project. So now we'll have to wait and see. And if things go sour for Crochet or they shut him down in the next couple of weeks, I don't know what that's going to look like for next year too. We're going right back into the same place. And now you're going with a player who's not happy with the organization. That is going to be a very weird offseason for all of the above partners involved.
All right. With that said, let's move on to the Atlanta Braves. Joe, you and I talk about it. When it comes postseason, what kind of pitching staff is a team going to put out? The Braves seemingly didn't do anything to add themselves to any consequence of that conversation. They added a bat, but I mean, Whit Merrifield came along too before the deadline, but the Braves are losers, no?
I think so. And I understand from the Braves' perspective is they've already, they look at the roster, they look at what they have, and they say, everything that's gone wrong, we're still in it. So maybe we just hold on and do our best this year and then retool for next year. But to me, that's a bit of a waste of the season they got from Chris Sale. Chris Sale was pitched like a Cy Young this year, and I know it's a bummer that Acuna got hurt and Spencer Strider got hurt and now Albies got hurt. I get that. But if they had gone out and gotten a Jack Flaherty, I think we'd be speaking differently about the Braves, don't you? Max Fried, we're a little worried about his health. Well, look, they have gotten so much out of Chris Sale and so much out of Reynaldo Lopez, who nobody thought was going to give him what he's given him this year. And now you're in a spot where they're still really relevant. They're a wild card team. They're right in the thick of it. Who knows? You could get hot. I just think it was kind of a bummer for the fan base and maybe a waste of a season of two pitchers you didn't expect to be that good. And who knows if they're going to be that good next year. That's my problem with the Braves.
All right, talk Mariners. Take us into the break because it's a two-sided coin.
It is. I feel like the Mariners were winners because they went out and got Randy Arozarena and they were first to market, and we were singing their praises, lauding the Mariners, going out there being aggressive because they desperately needed offense. One of the worst offenses and runs scored in the league. And then they didn't do anything else. And that's not enough. You needed more help, some more veteran bats. I get it. It's tough out there because more teams are involved. It's just hard now to look at this Mariners team and say, okay, well, maybe when we get Julio healthy, maybe we'll roll. Okay. The Mariners have to do some soul searching this offseason and get some more help and be aggressive. But I love Arozarena. I love Julio. Great combination. We'll see how it plays next year. We come back, more baseball for you on FST. Don't go anywhere.
Recently, I feel like I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not making bad swings. I don't feel like I'm making terrible decisions, and just had got a little bit of a streak of bad luck on par fives. Didn't birdie any of them at the Open, didn't birdie any of them today. It's just, and I didn't feel like I did anything terribly wrong, right? But that's just golf. It happens. What's done is done, and this week is the most important week of the year right now.
If he lands it pin high, he's going to be off over the pin position and leave himself a tough putt there. That should bite now. He didn't like it by the looks of it, but he'll love it when he sees it.
Just get this before that bunker. Put himself in a good position.
Just a tiny little baby fade, ideally placed.
To tie the lead at 16. Playing well, isn't he, John Rahm?
And OMG, what a championship Sunday we just witnessed.
Win, right? Selfishly, you always want to get that done, but you don't want to see a teammate and a good friend, missing a putt for that happening for me.
The Live Golf League delivers every single event, doesn't it? I mean, what an incredible finish there. You know what, Tyrrell Hatton, I feel for him. He's been playing beautiful golf. In fact, since Miami, he's been the best player in our league based on the strokes gained metric.
I'm really happy that I had my first Live Golf win. Now that Kelly and the kids are watching, just knowing that I'm bringing the trophy home for them, it feels good to say that it's coming home.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports today. Matt and Joe with you here, getting you ready for everything you need down the stretch in the baseball season. Also, everything you need to get ready for the football season. I got to tell you, folks, best thing in life is to surround yourself with people that you admire and then find out things about them that make you admire them even more. That's the best thing. I find out things about my co-host Joe during the break, or our producers, and it really, honestly, it's just such a great team around here. The entire SportsGrid family, we really do enjoy what we do. Joe, it's time now for 5 burning questions. So I gave you some love, and now I'm going to hold your feet to the fire, because what we do in this society, you don't fit what I need. Come. Okay, here we go. First one. For those that are new to FST burning questions, by the way, it's pretty simple. I'm going to ask Joe a burning question. He's going to give me a hot take. Here we go. Joe, first one. Will Gerrit Cole make all of his remaining starts for the New York Yankees? Go.
No. And I don't know if this is a hot take or not. Let's sit back a little bit and let's continue. Everyone calls me the Grim Reaper when it comes to Gerrit Cole. And I think everybody had the shockwaves this past week when he had general body soreness and fatigue, and we had to skip a start for him. Now, today's a very important start. Maybe that is what's going on. Maybe the guy who didn't have the normal routine in the offseason, dealing with the injury and all that stuff, maybe things in the body just aren't working right. Like you saw like Blake Snell, right? Look how long it took him to get right, and it took another stint on the IL for him to come back, and look how good he's been. 2 weekends ago, 15 strikeouts. This past weekend, throwing no-hitters. I mean, unbelievable for Blake Snell. The problem here, I think, is a little different. And if we're going to be honest, Matt, let's look at the body of work so far for Gerrit Cole in 7 starts. His ERA is 5.40. His WHIP is 1.46. Yes, he does have 38 strikeouts and 35 innings and just 12 walks. So that is correct. But do those numbers sound like Gerrit Cole to you? Does that sound like the Gerrit Cole that is right? Because it doesn't sound like the one that's right to me. And I think that's where I struggle with this, where I don't think he makes every start. Does at some point something happen with that elbow or something happen with his body where something else is compensating and then also gets injured? We've seen that time and time again happen. This is a very dangerous dice roll. I give Gerrit Cole a lot of credit. He's trying to pitch through it. He is trying to be a warrior, and we get that. We applaud that. But this is about fantasy. This is about investment. If you can flip Gerrit Cole on name brand value, would you rather have Gerrit Cole or Jack Flaherty on the Dodgers rest of season?
Wow.
Matt Striker.
I love when he does this to me, folks. I'm a Cardinal fan. Let me put that out there so I know what Jack Flaherty is, but corrections can be made and pitching in a much different lineup. I guess I would say that Jack Flaherty has more upside this season. I'm just being honest. But overall, I do understand your point. I'd like to see some of the XFIP and FIP numbers to really understand what Cole is. But Cole just needs to make a handful of starts, and they need to be the important ones. So will he make all of them at the, down the stretch? He doesn't need to. And I think that's
if
really
you want the FIP numbers, I can give those to you.
Please.
If that helps your decision-making processes.
No, I've already answered.
Jack
I'm just kind of
Flaherty
trying to be
trade.
pragmatic. You know what I mean?
No, you know what? That's a great point, because sometimes the ERA doesn't tell the story. We got to dig deeper. So let's dig deeper. I don't think you're going to like the answer to this.
Why even waste anyone's time, and let's just move on. But go ahead.
Let's move on to the next one. No. Let's stay on Gerrit Cole for a second. xERA, 4.67. FIP, 5.54. XFIP, 4.30. It seems like the ERA is.
There's room there. Right, there's room there.
There's room for what?
For a handful of good starts, and that's all that's needed. That was my point. That's all. The answer is no, and you are correct, and I'm agreeing with you that no, he will not make the rest of his starts, but he doesn't need to. All right, now we kind of touched on this, so we're not going to spend too much time. Did the Orioles do enough at the deadline? Right, I feel that they have. Joe feels that they haven't. Joe, anything else you want to tack on before we move on to the next conversation?
I want to still say it's a maybe, because let's be honest here. In the scope of the American League, we saw Tanner Bybee having some issues this week, right, for the Cleveland side. Gerrit Cole having some issues. We'll see what he comes back with today. Right. Maybe it's fantastic. Maybe it's worst case scenario. But if Gerrit Cole should go on the IL or continue to struggle, or whatever is going on with Gerrit Cole continue in a negative light, maybe just adding the depth was enough. And again, I think it's tough to say definitively yes or no on this one, because I don't think they're going to get Trevor Rogers right this year. Maybe in September you can make some adjustments and he starts to make some headway and gain some confidence. That's possible. It's not impossible. But it's the Jimenez move too, where you're giving another veteran bat in that order, but another guy who's got a lot of problems. So this is a big maybe. He's had trouble staying healthy. Eflin, I think, is a good pitcher, adds some depth to that rotation. And if the Orioles, we keep talking about the Orioles being that team, they're the one team that can sustain injuries, right? Westberg gets hurt. Oh, it's okay. We've got Jackson Holiday.
Right.
We've got Kobe Mayo. We've got all these pieces we keep getting up. And that's exactly what they're doing. So maybe they are smarter than everybody else. And if you look around the prospect of the rest of the American League, maybe depth is the most important thing right now, because the Mariners and Astros are all kind of, flailing in their own ways in certain situations. Kyle Tucker's still not back. Maybe just being healthy is exactly what the Orioles need to be, and young, which is exactly what the Orioles are compared to some of these other teams in the American League. So it's a hard maybe for me, leaning towards yes, they did enough, but we shall see as the rest of the season drags on.
It sure does. All right, from the AL East, let's go to the AL West. You kind of touched on it here. Who wins the American League West? When you break down pitching, I think it clearly goes to the Mariners, but Astros fans can argue that something that looks like Hunter Brown, Yusei Kikuchi, Justin Verlander could be enough with someone like Hader at the back end. Alvarez always poses a problem. I think it's the Mariners, but who do you say wins the American League West?
If Verlander and some of the other pitching pieces get healthy here, I think, the Astros are a game out right now. I think it's unfortunate that the Mariners waited as long as they did to address the offense. There were other moves that could have been done. You had to look at what you had and realize it wasn't enough going into the season. And people kind of scoffed at, they lost Teoscar Hernandez, big deal. Well, look at what Teoscar Hernandez has done for the Dodgers this year. Right? Like Teoscar Hernandez, I'm just saying, I don't think that's fair. I think he is one of those guys that is a nice 5-hitter, right? A guy that you can count on in the middle of the order. He's going to hit 30 home runs. He's going to be a decent guy. The Anthony Santanders of the world make lineups go, and they don't get enough credit. And that's what the Mariners have been lacking. And now they have the same problem, which is they have a standalone superstar in Randy Rosarena until Julio comes back. Now you hope you get Julio back, and maybe that tandem gets red hot. But then where are you going to be when that happens? That's the problem. Where are you in the standings? Does it not happen until September 1st or Labor Day? Because if it's that late, maybe that's time has passed you by. Now, that being said, too, this Kyle Tucker thing went from a day-to-day injury with a shin contusion to he's been out on the 60-day IL. I don't know what the hell's going on here and why we haven't gotten proper information about it. It's driven me crazy for weeks now. I'll say this. I do think it's the Astros. I think that veteran team understands what it takes to get there down the stretch, and the Mariners are still a team that is young and exciting and fun. It's going to be a waste of some incredible pitching performances this year. But I do think it's the Astros. Matt, do you think the veteran Astros catch them, or do you think the pitching of the Mariners that's been the best in baseball from an ERA perspective collectively can hang on?
I think it is the Mariners. I think it's a nail biter. I think it's going to be fun. But like I said, someone like Yordan Alvarez with one swing of the bat can change it. If it stays close, then the Astros can have it. But to your point, if the Mariners get Rodriguez back, we get Julio back, then it's all theirs. All right, we don't have much time left, so I'm going to give you 2 questions in one. I'm sorry. The first one is, can the Cardinals catch the Brewers? The next one is, will the Dodgers or Yankees make the World Series? Joe?
I think the Cardinals can catch the Brewers, actually. They're 5.5 games out. They're only 2 games out of the wild card. Cardinal organizations is one of those organizations that I think will continue to bounce back. They had a bad year last year, but I think they're going to continue to go forward. It's a veteran team. I don't know if the Brewers offense can sustain not having Yelich in it for a very long period of time. As good as Churio has been, Contreras at times this year has been very good too. I just don't know if that's going to be the case. And then the last one here, will the Dodgers or the Yankees make the World Series? My money would be on the Dodgers before the Yankees getting there. And I know Aaron Judge has been brilliant. I just don't know what that rotation is going to be in October. So Luis Gil not only has to be good for the next 2 months, has to be good in October too. It's asking a lot of that kid to carry that rotation. Whereas I look at the Dodgers and I'm pretty confident Glasnow is going to be fine. I'm confident Flaherty's going to be there, and one other guy can get healthy. So give me the Dodgers of those 2 teams. When we come back, we're going to take a look at some specials that you can wager on in MLB.
Recently, I feel like I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not making bad swings. I don't feel like I'm making terrible decisions, and just had got a little bit of a streak of bad luck on par 5s. Didn't birdie any of them at the Open, didn't birdie any of them today. It's just, and I didn't feel like I did anything terribly wrong, right? But that's just golf. It happens. What's done is done, and this week is the most important week of the year right now.
If he lands it pin high, he's going to be off over the pin position and leave himself a tough putt there. That should bite now. He didn't like it by the looks of it, but he'll love it when he sees it.
Just get this before that bunker. Put himself in a good position.
Just a tiny little baby fade, ideally placed.
To tie the lead at 16. Oh, he's playing well, isn't he, John Rahm?
And OMG, what a championship Sunday we just witnessed.
Win, right? Selfishly, you always want to get that done, but you don't want to see a teammate and a good friend, missing a putt for that happening for me.
The Live Golf League delivers every single event, doesn't it? I mean, what an incredible finish there. You know what, Tyrrell Hatton, I feel for him. He's been playing beautiful golf. In fact, since Miami, he's been the best player in our league based on the strokes gained metric.
I'm really happy that I had my first Live Golf win. Now that Kelly and the kids are watching, just knowing that I'm bringing the trophy home for them, it feels good to say that it's coming home.
Welcome back into FST. It's fantasy sports today. It certainly is. My name is Matt. His name is Joe. We're giving you everything you need in order to dominate. Joe, we talk about it all the time. Simply watching sports, simply enjoying sports can actually help you pay your cell phone bill. I mean, everyone's got some kind of Netflix or Spotify revolving account somewhere along. We'll help you pay that. We'll help you pay your grocery bill just by knowing, the Dodgers should beat the A's. And having the wherewithal to be able to place just a little, it's okay to do it now and get a return. And that way the wife or the husband or significant other can't say, why are we sitting around watching sports? No, I'm helping pay the bills. All right, it's time now for MLB specials. So here we go. This is fun. I like this. So we're going to give you some scenarios, Joe, and you're going to tell me what you like here. We'll try to stay in the plus money as best as we can here. Aaron Judge, 60 or more regular season home runs will return you 2-1. If he breaks the American League record of hitting 63 or more, that'll get you 4.5 to 1. So we're looking at plus 200 for over 60 and plus 440 for over 63.5. Your thoughts?
I know the big number on the 63 is fun, but I think we're looking more on the 2-1 being reasonable. Can he get to 60 or 61? It's possible. We've got 50 games left here to go. And Aaron Judge, as many of you know from yesterday's action, is now at 41 homers. I mean, what a season for him, right? 110 games, 41 homers, and 103 RBI. Not too bad. Hitting 321. The slugging percentage is over 700. That's a tough pace to maintain for anybody, even in that little tiny wiffle ball ballpark that is Yankee Stadium. I think the 60 is achievable. I really do. I think you can get there, maybe to 61. To go over 63, I just think that's a tall order to ask at this juncture in the season. I think you have to be closer to 40 at the All-Star break to really consider that pace is going to hold. And when a guy is as red hot as Aaron Judge has been for so long, we always say this on the show, right? Baseball is a game of streaks. Eventually things do kind of come backwards a little bit. Now the inflection of Jazz Chisholm helps. Sure, a little bit more line of protection, a little bit, more of an energy there in that ballpark. The fact that they're in a pennant race and there's a focus level there, the fact that he's got Juan Soto around too, it's a good situation for him to smash this number. But I don't think the 63 is viable. I think I would stay with the 60. That I think you can achieve, and you're getting a pretty good number on it. So Vegas seems to think that 60 is well within his grasp. 2-1 is not too shabby there. You're still getting a good return on your investment. But it's also telling you they think it's within his range too, and so do I. But Matt, what do you think? Do you think here with 50 games, this guy has 20 homers left in that tank?
Yeah, absolutely. The immutable laws of math will tell you that he does, but then there are those things for which you cannot account. There is the emotional, the mental. I'd like to see who they're facing down the line. Think of the rotations. Think if he catches the one every fifth day, it's going to be hard. If he catches a team's four, it's, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be different. So I'd have to have a lot more information. But you asked, does he have it in him? Yes, the laws of math say that he does, given how many he's had, with the amount of games and the amount of games that are left. Let's move on now to the National League Triple Crown. We'll talk Shohei Ohtani. And if you like big numbers, I've got some for you. Shohei Ohtani to win the National League Triple Crown will return you nearly 9-1, plus 870. The answer, though, would be no at minus 2,200. So the book is already answering the question, but I'd like to hear from Joe. Thoughts?
I think this is actually a fun one. Why can't he? Especially that kind of return. I look at this one and I say, well, yeah, let's try to make that happen. So he's at 33 home runs right now currently. So the only guy that's really in the 30s right now is Marcell Ozuna at 32. So that is very close, granted. Looking at the RBI total, that's one where Ohtani is also behind right now, Marcell Ozuna, 86-79. But I don't think that's an impossible amount. That's one big hot streak, one cold streak for Ozuna, hot streak for Ohtani. Right. So I think we're kind of in that range. The other one that becomes very tricky is the batting average. Shohei Ohtani's at 309, Luis Arraez at 306, Ketel Marte is at 302. So we're getting a little tight there. So really this just comes down to, does Shohei Ohtani finish the season with a huge flourish? If he does, look at the return. I would say this is worth a unit just to speculate, because when you're getting 8-1 on something, it's certainly something I think you want to pay attention to, because it's not like it's absurd that the best player in the National League can be the best player in the National League for the last 2 months of the season on a team that has their sights set on a World Series, and he recognizes historical things. He is a guy that shows up when big moments happen. Him knowing this statistically is on the line, can you imagine there's another feather in his cap? A guy that can win MVPs, a guy that could win Cy Youngs, a guy that can win Triple Crowns. That's pretty incredible. So even if we talk about like Babe Ruth and how great he was back in the day, back when Matt was a kid watching Babe Ruth, think about this. Think about what we're watching in front of us right now. A guy who's good enough to win the MVP, the Cy Young, and maybe a Triple Crown. That is an incredible baseball talent that I think sometimes we still don't realize just how lucky we are to be witnessing this.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely deserves a sobering pause. Also, what deserves a sobering pause is I'm glad that you outlined the others that could challenge for the batting average, because you have to take into consideration that Freddie Freeman is away from the team to deal with a personal issue involving his son. Of course, thoughts are with Freddie Freeman and his family. So you have to keep that in mind when it comes to lineup protection with regards to Shohei. Let's stay with Shohei Ohtani here and talk about, will he join the 40-40 club? Already at 30-30, minus 220 on the yes, plus 168, plus 170 on the no. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think this one has. I think the no is actually worth wagering on,
really?
Because I do, and here's why.
How does he win Triple Crown?
Well, but Triple Crown's not stolen bases. That's why. I mean, his batting average is running, it's RBI and it's home run. So you can still win Triple Crown. But asking Shohei Ohtani to steal 40 bases, I think that becomes a little tricky. Now that seems very easy that he would get there, I guess. And another thing where we sit there and go, oh my God, this guy's going to go 40-40 and with the Triple Crown,
just
and then
add it on.
Come back with his Cy Young. Geez, like, is there room in the Ohtani house? I'm sure there is for all the hardware. I'm sure it's a very, very large house. But it is asking a lot. He did just get the 30-30 yesterday. To continue on that pace, I don't know if there's a tired factor. I don't know if they're going to want him to be aggressive on the base paths for the point that you said, which is Freddie Freeman not being there. It's one thing to be aggressive at the plate.
Take it behind him. Yeah.
I think maybe they slow him down there because of that. That's the out on that one.
All right, quickly before we go to break, give me a team to break 100 wins in the regular season. You got the Phillies, the Yankees, the O's, and the Dodgers all in plus money. Who's got the best chance?
The Phillies, and 2-1 is really good. The Phillies are deep. The Phillies have talent. The Phillies have pitching. The Phillies have got it all. I still think the Phillies are my pick to win the World Series, and they've got a home field advantage. There you go. We come back and close out hour one of FSD.
recently, I feel like I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not making bad swings. I don't feel like I'm making terrible decisions, and just had got a little bit of a streak of bad luck on par fives. Didn't birdie any of them at the Open, didn't birdie any of them today. It's just, and I didn't feel like I did anything terribly wrong, right? But that's just golf. It happens. What's done is done, and this week is the most important week of the year right now.
If he lands it pin high, he's going to be off over the pin position and leave himself a tough putt there. That should bite now. He didn't like it by the looks of it, but he'll love it when he sees it.
Just got this before that bunker. Put himself in a good position.
Just a tiny little baby fade, ideally placed.
To tie the lead at 16. Oh, he's playing well, isn't he, John Rahm?
And OMG, what a championship Sunday we just witnessed.
Win, right? Selfishly, you always want to get that done, but you don't want to see a teammate and a good friend, missing a putt for that happening for me.
The Live Golf League delivers every single event, doesn't it? I mean, what an incredible finish there. You know what, Tyrrell Hatton, I feel for him. He's been playing beautiful golf. In fact, since Miami, he's been the best player in our league based on the strokes gained metric.
I'm really happy that I had my first Live Golf win. Now that Kelly and the kids are watching, just knowing that I'm bringing the trophy home for them, it feels good to say that it's coming home.
All right, welcome back into FST, Fantasy Sports Today. And folks, you got to love it when the guy with whom you worked for so long already has the drum break down. I'm watching Joe as we're coming on the air. We have a new song that Joe is hitting the brrr perfectly. And I'm like, wait a second. We've only heard this thing for like 54 minutes, maybe. How many times during a break? Good
So
job,
good. It's
Joe.
a banger. And you're a drummer, aren't you, Striker?
I am. That's why I'm thoroughly impressed.
That's how you got the name Striker. That's how you got the name Striker. Question for you. You mentioned Aerosmith earlier before in one of the other segments. I did get to see Aerosmith live about 10 years ago. They were still great. I'm sad that Steven Tyler had to go out this way with the vocal issue and things like that. Did you get to see Aerosmith live and in concert ever?
Nope. Enjoy Aerosmith's work overall. Remember, they have a huge body of work, but never to a point where I wanted to go and spend money. So when I go to concerts, when I was working especially, I want to sit right smack there. I mean, I've seen Rush and Roger Waters, and I'm no further back than 5 rows. So Aerosmith didn't have that for me because at that time you had to spend, and I was willing to. But just a great body of work overall by a tremendous group of musicians.
Always go see the classic bands whenever you can. We just saw Foo Fighters 2 weeks ago for the second time. Nice. I've seen AC/DC live. You've seen AC/DC live, right?
Yeah, you have to have seen AC/DC live. And I just saw
That's what I mean. Even if you're not the biggest fan, I think classic bands, you should say, hey, I got to see these guys and see what the big fuss is all about. That's why I went to Taylor Swift with my daughters too. I had to see what the fuss was all about.
Way to take the air out of the room there, Joe. I was just going to say.
Hey, it was a great show, man. You played for 3 hours, let me tell you.
All right. In order to see these bands these days at places like Madison Square Garden, you need to have a wad of cash. And in order to do that, you're going to hit some futures. So let's segue into the American League and National League winners here, because you can still try to find some plus money if you hit it right. Let's talk about who's going to win the American League outright. Teams like the Yankees, the Orioles, the Guardians, the Astros, and the Twins. Joe, the Guardians at 650 are worth a conversation. It's just they're never going to do it. And that, to me, is just you want them to. You can make the conversation and the argument if they had the pitching and so. It's just not going to happen. O's, Yanks, who's taking this? I think it's the Orioles.
It feels like a million years ago, but remember Shane Bieber?
I was going to say Shane Bieber, and then in my head, I was like, when is he due? He's out for the entire year, and then
he's out for the year. Right? But if he had stayed healthy this year, especially the way he started the season, remember those first couple starts were unbelievable. First of all, this number probably wouldn't be 650, but we would be having a much different conversation, I think, about the Guardians. I think they lack that other big time. Bibby's been very good, but they just lack that other guy in that rotation. The Astros looming at plus 650 are really the interesting one on this board to me. I'm sticking with the flag that I planted back in April when we did our the beginning of the year. I love the Baltimore Orioles at plus 270. I just still think you're getting a great number on them. I think it was more like 4 or 5 when we started earlier in the year. I'd have to go back and look at it, but that's when we invested in it. I think it's worth reinvesting in. I still think the Orioles have enough. And I think those young teams are dangerous because they just don't know they're not supposed to be there or that good yet. And now they have Corbin Burns, who's very special. So to me, it's the Orioles. And if you want to look for a later one, it's the Astros, because the Astros, I mean, honestly, more than anybody on this list, understand what it takes to flip the switch and get it done. That's a veteran team, even more than the Yankees. I think the Astros have a little bit more killer instinct than that Yankee team does. And that's been proven time and time again.
Good little ticket there. I like that you gave the backup on the Astros, but I'm with you, and I agree. It's the Orioles to represent the AL. In the National League, you have the Dodgers plus money. They'll give you plus 155. Then you have the Phils at plus 240. The Braves will get you 5-1 back, 11-1 for the Brewers. I think it's the Phillies. I just think they have the pitching. I think they have the bullpen. I think they have the lineup. I think your World Series is Baltimore against Philadelphia, and you can ride a bicycle between two stadiums, and I think that's great as well, Joe.
I'm going to get a hoagie and a Coke from Wawa, and I'm going to watch the Phillies win the World Series. That's what I'm going to do. It's going to be so fantastic. It's going to be unbelievable. Go Bryce Harper. Did you see Bryce Harper had the Wawa cleats and the Wawa headband?
No, I did not, but that's great.
Oh, it's unbelievable. On the back of his cleats, he had a Wawa barcode with the Wawa insignia, and it said Harper on it. Just spectacular. Now, the only next level thing is, could they have scanned it? Could you scan it with your phone?
Oh, this is my first thought. What does it get
and
you?
get a free coffee? Could you do that? It's the Phillies for me, and I'm not going to waver on this. The Dodgers are certainly going to be tough. It's going to be tougher now that Flaherty's in there. But when I'm talking about toughness, I keep coming back to the Phillies. They have an intensity that they play with. And Shohei Ohtani is a game changer. Don't get me wrong. Shohei Ohtani is brilliant. Tyler Glasnow, brilliant. But I don't think the Phillies are intimidated by anyone or anything. And I think they like the fact that the Dodgers are still the top of this board. They love this. If there's a team that loves being the underdog, just like we talked about in the football playoffs last year, how many times did I tell you to bet Patrick Mahomes is the underdog? And how many times did you make money? Phillies, underdogs? Sure. Let's go. Hour 2, wall-to-wall football when we come back.
Recently, I feel like I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not making bad swings. I don't feel like I'm making terrible decisions, and just had got a little bit of a streak of bad luck on par 5s. Didn't birdie any of them at the Open, didn't birdie any of them today. It's just, and I didn't feel like I did anything terribly wrong, right? But that's just golf. It happens. What's done is done, and this week is the most important week of the year right now.
If he lands it pin high, he's going to be off over the pin position and leave himself a tough putt there. That should bite now. He didn't like it by the looks of it, but he'll love it when he sees it.
Just got this before that bunker. Put himself in a good position.
Just a tiny little baby fade, ideally placed.
To tie the lead at 16. Playing well, isn't he, John Rahm?
And OMG, what a championship Sunday we just witnessed.
Win, right? Selfishly, you always want to get that done, but you don't want to see a teammate and a good friend, missing a putt for that happening for me.
The Live Golf League delivers every single event, doesn't it? I mean, what an incredible finish there. You know what, Tyrrell Hatton, I feel for him. He's been playing beautiful golf. In fact, since Miami, he's been the best player in our league based on the strokes gained metric.
I'm really happy that I had my first Live Golf win. Now that Kelly and the kids are watching, just knowing that I'm bringing the trophy home for them, it feels good to say that it's coming home.